Part 1 of the Sermon on the Mount of Jesus, the new 10 commandments given by Jesus to mankind. The Sermon on the Mount starts with 10 commandments, a fresh set of 10 commandments. Matthew 5:1, and seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him. Then he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, then he opened his mouth. Very, very important. Whatever Jesus spoke through his mouth, that is the Bible now. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is the first commandment. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Commandment number 1. Commandment number 2. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Commandment number 2. Commandment number 3. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Commandment number 4. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. This is the 4th commandment. The 5th one. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. 6th commandment. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. 7th commandment. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. 8th commandment. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The 8th commandment says, blessed are the persecuted for righteousness. Jesus is the righteousness. He explains it in the next sentence, next verse. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So this is the 8th commandment. 9th commandment, you are the salt of the earth. This is the 9th commandment. Jesus says, don't lose salt. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? It is then good for nothing but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. This was not at all there in the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, no man is the salt of the earth. But in the New Testament, in the New Covenant, because of the blood, because of the life given by Jesus, every man who comes to him becomes a salt of the earth. You are the salt of the earth. So this is the revelation and also a counsel that don't lose your flavor. Understand you are the salt of the earth and do your works accordingly. Commandment number 10. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Here also, this is an encouraging commandment. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. You cannot be hidden. You will be the light. Jesus has encouraged through the 10th commandment, and again is giving some advice. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all those who are in the house. And what about light? He says, good deeds are the light. Let your light so shine before man that they may see your good works. Good works are the lights, and glorify your Father in heaven. So the 10th commandment speaks about good works. What are the good works? Casting out demons, healing the sick, feeding the poor, preaching the gospel. These are the good works. So in the first 16 verses, Jesus has given his fresh set of 10 commandments. And you will see from this, if a man can follow the 10 commandments, if a man can be poor in spirit, a man who mourns, blessed are the meek, a meek person, and that person will inherit the earth. He says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Jesus wants us to have hunger and thirst for righteousness. That's a commandment. Blessed are the merciful. He wants us to be merciful. He says, you will get, in return, you will get mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart. Now heart speaks. In the Old Testament, heart had nothing, but in the New Testament, in the New Covenant, heart means everything. So he says, be pure in your heart, for they shall see God. He has given a promise that you will see God if your heart is pure. In the Old Testament, that was not there. Even Jesus says, nobody can see God. But here he has given a promise, for they shall see God. Very encouraging. Very encouraging. The Old Testament commandment, you shall not murder, you shall not envy, you shall not lust, you shall not do adultery, shall not, shall not. Here you see, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the sons of God. Sons of God will inherit his throne. That's what he says in Revelation chapter 3, 18 to 21. Blessed are the peacemakers. He wants us to be peacemakers, not fighters, not people who do jihad. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness. He says, if somebody persecutes you, accept it. Accept it. And if they persecute you for my sake, accept it. That's what Jesus says. So that's part of the deal. So the 10 commandments of Jesus, they are very powerful. They are very powerful. They are very different. And from the first 16 verses, you get to know that there is absolutely no relationship between Jesus and Allah, between Jesus and Muhammad, between Jesus and Quran, and between the Bible and Quran. This is Bible. This is original. And 600 years later, Muhammad has given a duplicate. And he says, the Injeel. Injeel means whatever you have seen here, whatever you have heard here. He says, this also speaks about jihad, killing people. Jesus says, don't kill. It is there. We are going to see more. He wants us to suffer for his name's sake, not to fight, not to wage war. So, you have seen here, this is different. Whatever Jesus has given is completely different, and we inherit everything when we follow him. Amen.